Hey, deserving listeners, 90 Day Fiancé, let's watch. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. Since this is a psychology YouTube channel, anything that I talk about might contain triggering material, so watch with care. Let's watch.
Thank you for agreeing to meet with me. I just kind of wanted to get some advice from you. I think something that was really hard for me was commitment, and I don't want to repeat my same mistakes.
I think you already have.
Interesting. So they're showing us a scene from a while back that they didn't show during the run of the season, where he's talking with his former partner, and he's saying, I know that I had this problem with commitment. Cheating? Sounds like cheating. And he's like, I want to, prevent from doing that again. And she's like, it sounds like you already have. So she knows about what he's been up to. Interesting. So again, it's just starting to look more and more like he just does not care. Because if you keep pushing someone down and you keep apologizing, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I have this problem, and you keep pushing someone down, it's like something's going on here. Eventually you just look at the person like, so all that time when I thought you were asking for forgiveness and I thought you were sorry for what you did, it was all just a game to you.
You messaged me on Instagram to tell me that I looked good in my picture. I thought that was really inappropriate. I didn't know you were in a relationship, and you wanted to meet alone with me.
Wow. I mean, who hasn't has he literally flirted online with every single woman on the planet? Just like even your former partner while you're in a relationship with Alina? I mean, so again, it comes back to this, is it a compulsion? Which doesn't make it okay, but it would explain why you would shoot yourself in the foot so much about this. Or is it a lack of empathy? And he's just like, well, I want to, and so, I'm just going to do it anyway. It's what I want to do, which is also shooting yourself in the foot, by the way. Okay, so the way the internet talks about malignant narcissists and, narcissists is usually what they're talking about is psychopaths, antisocial people who lack empathy. And whether they were born that way or made that way, it's hard to know. It's usually a combination. I've never met a psychopath that didn't have tremendous abuse growing up, or at least, moderate to severe mistreatment. And they were modeled psychopathy. They were modeled they were treated as in a way that lacked empathy. And so they just learned those lessons that, like, people don't matter. I don't matter. You don't matter. None of us matter to anyone. So why operate that way? And there's this discourse on the internet, there's this idea, there's this straw man of what a psychopath is, that they're calculating, they're geniuses, they always get away with stuff. No, psychopaths almost never get away with it because, one, they're not smart usually about their behavior. Two, they don't fit well with society. You need empathy to fit well with. It's easier to get away with lies if you have empathy because you can actually understand how other people are going to react to things. Psychopaths don't understand why other people get hurt because they don't care and they don't know that their behavior impacts others. They don't feel it. They have to intellectually understand it. For most of us, if we're going to push someone down, for example, we have an actual physical reaction to doing that, which is it's a cringing feeling of like, well, I don't want to hurt them. It's an emotional reaction to harming another human being. This is why supposedly, well, anyway, I won't go into that. But so when you're a psychopath, you essentially lack that, or you have an attenuated experience of that. And so you don't interact well with other people, and you end up just sort of forging ahead and then creating just a wake of destruction and anger and resentment against you. And then you're like, huh? How come? It's like obliviousness. And a lot of these people have extremely difficult lives. So if Stephen suffers from that, we are potentially watching him repeatedly shoot himself in the foot. It would be, if he really wanted to get away with these things, he would be a lot more smart about it, right? But he is creating a situation where no one, even if things don't work out with Alina, anyone who dates him will likely be, directed to watch this and say, no, he's a terrible person. He wants, presumably, to have attachments, to have sex with people, to have, a marriage or a family. And he is doing things almost seemingly on a constant basis to make it so that it'll be very hard for him to achieve those goals, because he's just so bad about the behavior. It's just so obvious. It's like there's no doubt as to the constant nature of his infidelity. And so I want to say this because when you read all this stuff online, understand that it's almost like a movie version of often in movies, the psychopath is less calculated, super genius. And the prisons are not full, but a good percentage of the people in prison are these individuals who lack empathy, and they just continually shoot themselves in the foot and end up in prison repeatedly. It's actually a hallmark of psychopathy, is that you have repeated criminal offenses that land you in prison, because you don't know how to evaluate things. You lack an ability to evaluate how humans work and how your behavior affects other people, which is a very important thing, for us to understand. I don't know if that's what we're seeing here, but again, using this show as a jumping off point so that we can understand human nature.
Just for some advice.
Stephen, I'm not your teacher on your path to manhood, and I would prefer it if this would be the last time we speak.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I could see her thinking, if she knew, because I'm sure she knows him a billion times better than we do. Who knows? But I could see her saying, there's no point in me giving you any kind of advice, because I'm not even going to entertain this conversation with me giving you advice, and which gives you the opportunity to say, oh, I really learned a lot. I know you're not going to learn anything because you have this repetitive behavior, and this is a joke. You acting like you're trying to learn from something, learn from me, is a joke. You're never going to learn. I wonder if that's where it was coming from.
Hello.
Thank you so much for being here. How comfortable are you sitting so close to Stephen right now?
Well, I don't feel that uncomfortable. It's not like he's dangerous. I'm here to support Alina.
All right, interesting. Solidarity, that's nice. But she is also saying that he's not dangerous. Okay, I mean, I think that question could be raised legitimately given what we've seen. But we're hearing from Vanessa, in her experience, that he's not like a coercive individual. So, okay.
For 4 months.
Okay. Why did you two break up?
Well, Stephen was fronting as, a faithful man who wanted to be in a monogamous relationship. And then he was going to go to Russia for 2 months. I just told him he can date other girls, but please don't go all the way.
Okay. So we're learning a few things here. So Vanessa must have been one of the women that he was dating before he ever met Alina for the first time in person. That's what it sounds like. Okay, so this isn't one of the women that he was dating while he was with Alina. Anyway, who knows? But she's saying that they dated for a few months and he was going to go to Russia, and it must have been some part of the conversation that he might date other people. And she said, well, you can date other people, but don't go all the way. We could imagine what that means. And she also says something which is, fine, but she's saying he was fronting as a devout LDS, as a devout Mormon. We're seeing that there's a possibility that he either knowingly or slightly less knowingly uses his LDS persona or identity as a way of disarming women, as a way of making women feel like he is going to be a good human being, as a way of being appealing. If you're a certain kind of woman, you're looking for someone you can depend on, someone that follows a certain code, someone who is dedicated to monogamy and Now, I will say that, and someone asked, I don't know if I show this clip, and someone was commenting below that he may or may not come from a sect within the Mormon faith that involves, polygamy, involves many wives, multiple wives. And, we haven't heard anything of a confirmation around that, or him, because you could be within a sect like that and not want multiple wives. But if so, we don't know. But there could be a sexist, misogynistic, patriarchal attitude. There's nothing wrong with polyamory, right? But there is something wrong with only allowing certain genders to have multiple, spouses. And there's a lot of, anyway, I'm fine with polyamory, but is just as long as everyone is free to be polyamorous, right? You can't say, let's be polyamorous, but only men. It's like, it's not fair. And it's, anyway. So if you grew up in a culture like that, it's possible that you learned that it's okay for men to, be outside of the marriage. And you want to find women that would succumb to that. Who knows? But it could have been a lesson that he learned that he is playing out.
So he comes back from Russia, and I was his girlfriend, but he confessed to me that while he was in Russia, he had sex with 3 girls.
Okay, so we're finding out that he cheated. Well, wait, with 3 women. Was this the time that he met Alina? So, wait, because he didn't have sex with Alina. So I wonder how Alina's going to react to that. Okay, I wonder how many people he's had sex with, which is fine. It sounds like it's, anyway. But we're also learning that, according to her, they were boyfriend-girlfriend spanning that time. And she was saying, it's okay for you to get together, just don't go all the way. Don't have sex with these people, meaning you can make out and do other kinds of things, I guess is what she's saying. So that's interesting that they were both practicing Mormons. Is this a thing? Is it like a thing where it's like, even though we're boyfriend, girlfriend, you can be with other, because I remember someone commenting, or maybe even he did, that there's a push on young Mormons and, in their early 20s to try a lot of different people, because this isn't just someone you're marrying for life. You're marrying them in the afterlife. You're marrying them for eternity. And so you really should make sure it's the right one. It's a viable, wise thing to say. But it might create this kind of, but also don't have sex, and also get married soon, because you got to start, having kids and all that kind of stuff. So it's like this frantic, I wonder if this, I'm getting this impression maybe, that there's this frantic, just constant revolving door of sexual partners and romantic partners for like 2 years. And then you got to choose one and you got to get rolling on the family stuff right away. I don't know if that's what's happening here, but at the very least, we're learning that for Vanessa, she was totally okay. She was basic, whether she would call it this or not, she was, and he was, they were both in an ethical, non-monogamous relationship. Now, did Stephen tell these women in Russia, I have a girlfriend in the United States? I'm guessing he didn't. So that's not ethical non-monogamy, but from her standpoint, she was like, this is what I'm okay with. And he's like, okay. So if this is that, and if this is not the only time this has happened, I wonder if Stephen has this taste for polyamory, that he's like, yeah, I think I think I'm the sort of person that wants options, which is fine. But I'm also trying to shove this marriage square peg into the polyamory round hole.
Wants to have a threesome. Why is he trying to convince her to do this? Alina, who has never been with anybody else, Alina, who is young and sacrificing so much to be with him. Like, I know a divorce is so difficult and you've made these vows to him, but I don't think he's going to change.
Yeah, Vanessa is being, I think, completely fair. She's not like ranting and raving. She's being, I think, calm and as respectful as possible to everyone. we can imagine other people on the show coming out strong and, yeah, you're a piece of crap, da da da. Instead, she's like, Alina, I know divorce is rough. Things I'm hearing today and things I know already, I don't think he's going to change. And I think you should dump him. I think you deserve better. I think a lot of people would be saying that too.
If anything, I would say he's gotten worse.
I appreciate you being so respectful to me and care about my feelings. I can't just walk away. I have a hope that he loves me enough to be able to change.
Uh-oh. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. I mean, maybe, Alina, maybe he will love you enough to change. It's possible. He's not changing. So, and yeah, there's so many ill-advised marriages based on that assumption. And a lot of women fall into that trap because they're socialized to put up with stuff. And there's also this trope of Homer Simpson and this idea of men are basically just grown children that you have to rein in. It's expected. Every marriage is like Homer and Marge to some extent. Men they're kind of just big boys. And it's up to us as women to be codependent and to parent them. And no, men, adults should be able to be adults, and you should never be responsible for your spouse as if you're their parent. And we also tell women, I don't know about in Alina's neck of the woods, but in my neck of the woods, we tell young girls that they're supposed to put up with stuff, that they don't matter, that men and their sexual things are just kind of inevitable. And so there are so many ill-advised marriages based on this idea of just well, if he loves me enough, he'll change. If I'm good enough as a spouse, he'll change. And like I said, there's some potential for that to happen. But what if he doesn't want to change? What if he just says he wants to change, or you're just hoping that he'll want to change? Because he doesn't look like he wants to change. So you're the only one hoping that he'll change. He doesn't want to change. I don't know. But her saying that deeply worries me for her. And hopefully someone's in her corner saying you shouldn't have to hope for that. You should have a partner who looks at you and says, I don't want to hurt your feelings, and I'm willing to sacrifice my desire to be with other women because I married you and I don't want to lose you. And I really want to be with other women, but I'm not going to do it because I want to be happy with you. How come he can't do that? And you just have to ask, and that's what I would do with clients a lot of times. I would say, well, let's just imagine if he were to really be dedicated to you, what would he say? Because sometimes you can get kind of brainwashed into this normal, considering this kind of stuff normal. And you say, because for me, I'll just say, if I had a desire to be with someone else, or an impulse or a temporary fantasy crossing my mind, and say I took a few steps down that road in my mind, I would very quickly say, since me and my wife have a monogamous relationship, I would say, no. I don't want to hurt my wife. What a disaster of chaos that would be. And, that's it in the grand scheme of things. No, it's sure, there's a thought that crosses my head, whatever. But no, one, that would ruin my life. Two, it would hurt my wife. Three, it's just completely against what I'm dedicated to, completely against what I'm hoping my life to be. What I want her to do to me, how would he feel? It'd be an interesting question. Maybe someone will ask, what if Alina did these things? Is it okay that she does these things? And then says, well, Nelson Mandela said that's okay to make mistakes sometimes. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Thank you if you have liked this video or any of my videos or subscribed or any of those things. When you do that, it helps our numbers somehow on YouTube. That makes it better for us somehow. I think it populates people's feeds more if something has more engagement or something. But, totally up to you. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.